The Untouchable True School Sports Empire proudly presents something the boxing games are missing. Hey, what's going on? It's your boy BT, and I came here to talk some boxing with the thousands of True School Sports subscribers. All right, good morning, buenos dias, ohio gozaimasu. Shout out to everybody out there. Listen, I'm up early with the birds for another day of training camp with the future face of Japanese boxing, my boy Yugo Osaki. So before we start running around the whole of the Bay Area, we got to talk this boxing. We got to give the people what they want. We got to give people the real, because there's a lot of fake in these YouTube boxing communities, right? So anyway, let's talk about it. Lamont Roach, I got to give him his due. I got to give him his props, because he's showing the world, like, when you get a chance, when you get an opportunity and you capitalize on it, he's showing the world how to really capitalize on an opportunity. This is a guy, Lamont Roach, who signed with Golden Whip Promotions earlier in his career. Wasn't really getting that push early in his career. Was pretty much an afterthought for the majority of his boxing career. He beats Hector Garcia for the world title in 2023. He then follows it up by defending it against Fergal McCrory. Then he fights Gervonta Davis in a fight that many people thought he won. And then he's been doing a bunch of streaming and kind of promoting himself on, beyond just boxing. So, he's becoming a name outside of boxing, and it's beautiful to see a fighter figure it out from the marketing standpoint, right? And the legend of Lamont Roach continues. And in my opinion, in a sense, in my eyes, I do look at Lamont Roach kind of as like a legend, because he's not supposed to be this far. This guy had his own promoter's license, him and his dad, No Excuse Promotions. They put in their own purse bid when they fought for the world title. So I got a lot of respect for how he moves outside the ring. But the legend continues to grow, and he's in another notable blockbuster fight, and it's gonna happen towards the end of the year. So I think the timing for him couldn't be any better, because really boxing's been kind of slow this year. Boxing has been very slow this year. In all my years of boxing, I can't think of a slower year than this year. It's very, very slow. But he's gonna be fighting Pitbull Cruz. Yes, it has been reported that Cruz and Lamont Roach Jr. are fighting in December. They both have agreed in principle to a fight. So that doesn't necessarily mean that they're gonna. That's not a finalization of a fight, because they still gotta iron out, venue, dates, those kind of logistics. But they verbally agreed to terms. So I'm not gonna get overly excited. But if this fight does happen, I think it's a great fight. I think it's an awesome fight. And I gotta give Lamont Roach credit. It wasn't a fight that I ever really thought about for him, but. Think about it. He's at wait, wouldn't that mean that would mean that he's moving up to 140, because Pitbull Cruz is 140 pounder. So wait a second, Lamont Roach's last 3 fights, because Fergal McCrory was a title defense at 130, Tank was 135 fight, and then now this fight's at 140. So WBA, you gotta finally go ahead and strip Lamont Roach of that belt. He's all the way at 140 now. He's 2 weight classes above where he's world champion at. But that being said, yeah, Pitbull Cruz and Lamont Roach is a really good fight. Pitbull Cruz, everyone knows that he's one of boxing's premier action fighters. He's one of the most popular Mexican fighters in the world today. I've been to Pitbull Cruz fights in California. It's insane, the fan base he has, because he's an action fighter. He is the archetype of what Mexican boxing fans, not all, but most Mexican boxing fans look for in a fighter who's on the front foot, who looks for the fight, who brings the action to the opponent. He really is that. He embodies that. He embodies the spirit and just the ways of a Mexican fighter, right? So, he's got a big fan base. He was world champion not so long ago, Pitbull Cruz, when he knocked out Rolly. Then he lost to Rob Valenzuela. Hasn't regained it back since. Had a great fight, Angel Fierro, which was a close fight. Then they were supposed to do a rematch for his last fight, and then Fierro came in overweight, and he fought late replacement Omar Salcido. I think that was the guy's name. He beat the brakes off of him. So I think this is good for Pitbull too, because Pitbull he needs a fight to kind of get him jump started back in boxing and big time boxing, and get his name buzzing again, because it ain't buzzing like it was about a year and a half ago. So I like this fight for both of them. I think it could have come at a better time for both of them. Lamont Roach, I think, is not going to be, because Pitbull Cruz, he's always complained in the past about like Keyshawn Davis and Shakur Stevenson, and he always says he doesn't like these fighters that run. And I'm not one to play the race card, but sometimes I want to be like, yo, why don't you just say you don't want to fight any black guys that box and move? Just say that, Pitbull. You don't gotta. I'm joking, but I think Lamont Roach is gonna give Pitbull what he wants. Pitbull wants to fight in the pocket. Pitbull wants to toe-to-toe action. And Lamont Roach, listen, he's coming to y'all live and direct from that DMV area. And one thing about these DC fighters, go look at the history of boxing. They love to sit in the pocket. They love to fight in the pocket. They love to, be right there. So I don't think he's going anywhere. And I know Pitbull Cruz ain't going anywhere. So when I think about this fight, initially, initial thoughts, I think it's a really interesting fight. I think Lamont Roach Jr. is going to be in that pocket. And Lamont Roach Jr. is very crafty in the pocket. He's very good at parrying shots, keeping his punches real short. This could be a fight where you see a lot of 50-50 exchanges. And I'll tell you one thing about boxing. When you get fights where there's a lot of 50-50 exchanges, that creates for an exciting fight, honestly. I think so. And, one thing about it is, too, Pitbull Cruz is real short. So, and it's not that just to be short, but he actually does a great job of keeping a good, tight, high guard defense. So Lamont Roach is going to be way up here, and Pitbull's going to be down here. So Lamont Roach is going to have to really, sit down and bend those knees and dig those shots down to the stomach. And that'll be the challenge for him. Maybe sitting down a little bit more. So they'll have to practice that in camp, and I'm sure they'll get a great kick out of that training out there in the DMV area, because they I'm telling you, these guys like Tank and Roach and Lamont Peterson, if you want to go some years back, these guys love to fight in the pocket. It's what they do. It's how boxing is taught there. And we know Mexican fighters, we know how they get down. We know exactly how these Mexican fighters get down. They don't want to run. So I really think, to be honest with you guys, Lamont Roach, I think just it's kind of like if this fight goes through in December, I gotta give Lamont Roach credit, because this is like a checkmate move. You lose the Tank fight. A lot of people were excited about the Tank rematch. You don't get it. It's like, okay, well, it'd be very easy for him right now to kind of fight a no-name opponent, fight a lesser guy. He right now his stock and his name is buzzing at an all-time high. So he would be well within his rights to fight a lesser name, a very beatable opponent in the DC area, do a little homecoming fight. But he's not doing that. No. He's looking for the smoke. He's looking for the biggest names possible. He's looking for the biggest events possible. He's looking to fight the best fighter he possibly can, and that guy is Pitbull Cruz. And I'm excited for it. The last time I saw Lamont Roach fight a guy like this, I actually covered the fight. Back when he was a Golden Boy fighter, he fought Rene Alvarado. Alvarado is not like Pitbull, because Alvarado's taller, but he is a guy that likes to march forward and look for the fight. And I remember Lamont Roach put on a clinic that day. That was actually one of the early breakout fights in his career. So, it's not going to be that kind of a fight, because Pitbull Cruz is a lot shorter, has a tighter defense, and he's a really good fighter. But I'm excited. I think I'm actually excited for both of them. I'm excited for Pitbull Cruz because, like I said, he really hasn't been in nothing really, really big time since the Rolly fight. Angel Fierro turned into a good fight, but it wasn't looked at to be this great fight going in. Rolly was a big event. Pitbull Cruz has not been in a big event in a while. So these are my initial thoughts. What do you guys think? It's tough. I think right now I give the edge to. I don't even care that he's moving up in weight. I'm actually gonna go with Lamont Roach on points. I think that's good. I think Lamont Roach is crafty enough and really, really just skilled in that pocket. I think he's going to have the answers for Pitbull Cruz. But listen, it's a great fight, and it's going to be a challenge to overcome, because Pitbull Cruz, his combination of defense with his lower center of gravity and then all that volume too, it is a hard style matchup for any and everybody. So that being said, what do you guys think? Lamont Roach Jr., Pitbull Cruz, they've agreed to a fight in December. Although it is not finalized, it is something to talk about, and it is something to praise if the fight goes through for both men, stepping up to the plate. That's a common theme here on the True School Sports. I'm always talking about fighters who step up to the plate, and here we go. We got two notable names, two big names stepping up to the plate, making a big fight happen for the boxing fans in the fourth quarter of the year. So really excited about that. What do you think? Leave your comments down below. Make sure you guys take the time to subscribe, and like I say in every single one of these videos, you can love me or you can hate me, but But I'm just a kid from Dania. So until next time, take care, guys. Thank you for watching another video on the untouchable True School Sports Empire. For more great boxing content just like this, make sure you guys stay tuned and subscribe. You won't be disappointed.